So let's talk a little bit about more like the format of this book here. You have it split into two different parts.
Yeah.
One that's more kind of narrative based and one that's more individual thoughts. Is there a reason you did that?
The second part of the book, which is the more narrative driven one, it was when I was like, okay, I think the next step right now is to put together a chapbook, which is it's like an EP,
Yeah.
right? Like what's a half of a full album. And so I had a lot of those individual poems from the first part already written, and I kind of wanted a through line of maybe someone going through or meditating on the afterlife. And I was like, okay, I could pepper that in. And by the time I get that done, uh, I think it'll be a good chapbook or a good enough length. And as I was writing it, then I went, oh, there's a lot more to dig into this. And so it became its own section. And, narrative was really important. Since I was like with poems, I was like, oh, how do I make sense of this? So the second act is actually kind of a three act 3 beat structure that I put it in. I put it into like a narrative arc about what's happening with this person. And once I did that, then I was like, okay, what are the poems then that could serve this structure? It gave me a semblance of a shape to it. Initially, I had the first part. Actually, at the second part, the more narrative-driven one, first, and then I switched it. Um, I think it was probably better that way in the end. But I kind of had this vision of, oh, this it at the end of the narrative, it kind of opens up about this person continuing on with their life, but changed by the thing that happened before, everything that happened preceding that poem. But I think it worked better this way chronologically. Did I answer your question? I'm not sure if I did.
Oh no, yeah, you did.
Okay.
You good. I wanted to ask you about our last poem here,
Yeah.
where you have the title Strike Third.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask about just like the kind of narrative importance of doing that.
Yeah. I think in that narrative one, it starts off with this chant and the person Lam Tao Mei, which is my legal name, um, you know, being dead and being kind of led through and experiencing all of this, um, and and that person Lam Tao Mei never speaks until that last poem, and there's something about, I suppose, this dying that happens, that happens while we're alive, while our hearts are still beating. Like I'm sure you can look back and experience, oh, like this was a different Kiara, like 5 years ago, than a different this one. Like we're constantly shifting and evolving. So there was something about this possibility of this person dying, but coming back and trying to find something else and something new, and not really knowing what that was. And I was like, well, that's probably me all the time.
So I know you put a lot of like yourself in these poems. Like I just wanted to know like how much, because I know you said that you based a lot of it off experiences. How much of the book is based off your experience?
How much of it is? I'm trying to think about the first half. The first half, I think, is a lot. Like the first part is based off a lot of personal experience, and then the second one is a lot of. I think at some point I was writing and I went, well, this is all me, right? Like this is all kind of being rendered through my body and who I am. So in some ways, I'm like, well, it's all, I guess, personal experience. But I think the second part was an exploration of my ancestry. And since I don't know what happened to a lot of my ancestry, I just don't, because of what happened. So, the the epilogue to that one was from Nina Alexander's. The line is, "In the absence of reliable ghosts, I made aria," and I was like, I don't know a lot of these ghosts. I don't know what happened to my grandmother. I don't know what happened to my my brother. I don't know what happened to. I don't even really fully understand like my father's perspective, and I can't access anymore. I can't access that anymore because they're all gone. So me writing something about that at least is still more true than the nothing.